Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a massive round of applause for our last speaker of the day, Cheryl Cortese.
Thank you. Oh, welcome. Well, great honor and pleasure to be here with you all in England. I have to tell you, of all the happy memories of my life, many of them were accumulated here in England over the years, so I thank you for that. There are many people here that I really love, and so it's a great pleasure for me to be here. You know, I never really thought this would be my career. I can remember as a very young child having a conversation with my mother, and we were talking about what I would be when I grew up. And I remember very clearly her saying to me, you have one of three choices. You can be a teacher, you can be a nurse, or you can be a secretary. Because when I was 5 years old, those were the only three professions that were open to women. So it still amazes me today that I would love this as much as I do, because my background has nothing to do with marketing. I chose to be a teacher. Most of the people in my family, the women, were all teachers, so it seemed like the right thing to do. And I love that profession. But I've been with the Juice Plus company now for 28 years. And I want you to know I started when I was 3 years old. But so if you're 3 years old out there, sign up now. I've loved every minute of it. But 28 years ago, I found myself in a situation where life was quite difficult. I'm from South Louisiana, New Orleans. Our whole economy, the base of our economy was the petroleum, oil, and gas business. And that moved to the Middle East, and when it did, everybody's jobs went with it. And the response was like any times when economic stress is very severe. People lost their homes. Many marriages came apart. Mine was one of them. And so I found myself in a very difficult situation financially. I had two children who were in middle school. I had a job. I taught at one of the universities, but really didn't make very much. Not enough, certainly, to take care of my kids in the way that I felt they should be taken care of, and not enough to send them to college or do the things for them that I felt were very important. So I had to more or less expand my perception as to how I could create additional income. I came across a young man by the name of Jeff Roberti. You might have heard of Jeff. Okay. Jeff was all of 23 years old at that time. And I looked at him, and he looked like one of my kids. I thought, what could he possibly know about the difficulties of life? And yet Jeff, in striving for his own excellence and reaching for his own dreams, opened a door that for me really totally changed my life in a wonderful, positive way. And an adventure began that has just been amazing and only continues to get better all the time. So today I'll work with talking to you about really the years, the foundation of what's created a very successful business, and as I said, the adventure only gets better all the time. Let's see here, okay, there it is. If we look at our business, and you know, my secretary, if any of you know me, you probably have heard of Missy. Missy's actually been with me for 27 of the 28 years, and she helps put together a lot of the events. And I guess about a year and a half ago, she was talking with one of the national marketing directors from one of the other organizations, who asked her, what do you think has been the reason for this success all the years? And right off the top of her head, she said something that was very simple, but I think really very powerful. She says, well, you know, I've worked for Cheryl for 25 years. She said, we get up every day, we get dressed, and we go to work. And so even though I have never really thought about this as work, we are committed to the activity on a daily basis and treat this with the respect that a multi-million-dollar business deserves. And it has given us that return. So what are the foundations for that? First of all, I would say certainly that a strong work ethic. You know, if you think about work ethic, it's that continuous commitment to paying activities to produce a positive outcome. At what level do you employ yourself? I employ myself at a very high level because I want to be paid at a high level, and I learned how to do that over the years. Also, a very strong business mindset, I would say, is to really, again, appreciate the value of this business and treat it as a strong, powerful business that it is. Also, I feel like it's very important that you clearly identify your own professional image. How do you see yourself professionally? For myself, I love team and team development. So I see myself as a recruiter. I'm good at it, and I'm getting better every day. And it's putting that team together and continuing to put the team together so that as we reach out and do that, we then all reach out, put our arms around the customers, and create a huge, powerful team that reaches the world. Again, it's, you know, how did that thought come about? Well, I'll tell you, when I was teaching, and I taught at Nicholls State University there in South Louisiana. Before that, I taught kindergarten. Actually, I have 2 children. As I said, they were middle school when I started this, and today they're adults. But the man who recruited for the football teams in the athletic department had his office right down the hall from mine. And I remember going there and asking him, I said, I hear that this has something to do with recruiting. What does a recruiter do? And he said, well, you're looking for people who are like-minded. And he said, then you take what you have and you wrap it around their desires and their dreams. And he said, what I do is basically I'm searching the land to put together the best possible winning team. So if I look at what I do, what I'm doing is looking for those people who have the desire, and then I take what I have and I just wrap it around them. So what is your job description? How do you see yourself professionally? I think also it's important to know how you feel about what you do. You know, what are the feelings that go along with it? Because so often, you know, we pay attention to the statistics or the, you know, the product, and as far as the research is concerned, all of those things, facts and figures. Facts and figures are important, and we have all that for validation, but what people really listen to are your feelings. How do you feel about your product? How do you feel about your business? I'm really proud of the job that I do, the company that I'm with, the industry that I represent, the marketing model that I am part of. Just what is the pride, and look at the pride in what you have. Also, I think it's important too, in looking at that foundation, is what is the vision? How do we create the picture? In casting a vision, how do you go about doing that? Jeff Roberti invited me to step into a really big picture. It was one that I certainly had no idea existed. So I work at doing that and helping people to step into that big picture. What are the possibilities here for people? What is the potential? It's been studied that people respond even more to potential than they do to actual acquired success, because potential is what they're looking for. So what is the possibility? I love explaining the full potential of the pay plan and the National Marketing Director benefits. I really encourage my distributors to learn the pay plan, to know the pay plan, to feel confident in it. Now, the truth of the matter is, it may take a little while to do that because it's very different from traditional business. And the good news is they're going to pay you whether you understand it or not. But as time goes on, you really want to begin to have a good feel for that as you grow up through your business, because it really does give you a tremendous amount of confidence. So I will invite you again to fall in love with that pay plan and know this, is that it is limitless. It can be anything for your life that you need for it to be. And it's an exciting point. You know, the thing about the pay plan is I can always adjust it to fit the desire, the need of the new distributor. But learn it and know it as time goes on. We also, with my leadership, we talk about what does high-performance leadership look like? As your business begins to develop and grow, what happens there? How do you acquire that high-performance leadership? I think there are two distinctions here. The first would be the distinction of working with the people that I've personally sponsored and then working with the entire organization. So let's talk about both of those. In working with a new distributor, basically I'm looking for somebody who is serious-minded and who wants to develop a strong business. I'm going to invite the world to do my business, and people will come in and they'll do it at their own pace. But as we begin to put together powerful teams, I'm looking for those people within that group who want to move quickly. One of the things Jeff said to me very early on when we started, he said, Cheryl, this is the formula. You bring the people, I'll bring the presentation. So I'm looking for that person who's going to bring the people and I bring the presentation. And it's to basically move quickly through that process. We're going to work at acquiring customers and distributors simultaneously as we begin to put a model together. And it's to move fast. Hopefully, we're going to reach that SDD position within that first 30 days. So as I help secure someone's business, it's to put that small team together right away. People will do more for each other than normally they'll do for themselves, I've found over the years. So this can be very, very effective. I really encourage people in our marketing model to go very wide with their business, to build a strong, wide team. And I'm going to, with that new distributor, step into that second and third line immediately. So we're going to work to get that new team strong as quickly as we possibly can. At that point, I'll stay very close to that new team member. Normally, they check in with me at least once a day, and it's a fast check-in. The check-in is through whatever means, whether it's telephones, text, a quick email, whatever it is. But to check in so that we know where we are and where we're going. Then as that team comes together and begins to stretch across the country, I'm going to stay connected, either via the phone with a weekly training group, and stay with that person until they go to National Marketing Director, and then they take it over from there. So staying connected, working to help that person grow up and solidify very quickly is very important. The next thing would be the organization. At this point, my organization has well over 100 national marketing directors. So people will say to me, well, how do you keep up with all that? Is that not overwhelming? Not at all if you begin to form traditions to stay connected within the very beginning of your business. So if I look at some of the things that keep us connected, as an organization, we do a Monday night call. We've not missed a Monday night for over 25 years. And on that call, it's informational. It's usually one of the doctors or someone from corporate or people talking about their businesses. But 30 minutes before, we're going to have a check-in where everybody from wherever they are calls in and gives their name and tells where they're from. That's to verbally keep us all connected. I started that in 1989 with 5 people. And today we've got over 1,000 people in the organization who check in every Monday night. So it's staying connected to the organization, and it's creating a tradition that then identifies the team and the organization itself. We use it for not only connection, but for information, inspiration, recognition, and it's really to cast that big vision together so that everybody, whether they're just one day old or they're looking at it, they have a place to bring people once a week. I have a national marketing director call every Monday morning. Again, that's for leadership to stay connected. We've probably been doing that for about the last 18 years. It's to strategize, it's to plan our events, to do things of that nature. But we started that when we were VFs and growing into sales coordinator. It was once a week strategy meeting to move things forward. We also do events that have become traditions. We do a big event at the fall conference every year, a huge party. We like parties. I'm from New Orleans. And so this is something we all enjoy as well. But again, it's recognition, and we can stay connected. Jeff and I do a Q school. We've been doing this probably now for the past 16 years, and the reason is to have people who are senior sales coordinators or Qs meet together once a year for advanced leadership training. So again, it's to take people from brand new and then work them through the process as they grow up, staying connected and making sure that you're close to your leadership that then stretches out to be close to their teams and reaches out across the world. So if we look at this process, I've been doing this process, I guess you would say, very consistently over all these years and with a lot of joy. We often hear the word duplication. How do you duplicate? You know, and this is really the key to a huge and successful organization is, can people duplicate? I've only found one thing in all these years that really sets up people for duplication. And that's for you to do exactly what you want someone else to do, what you expect other people to do. I say to the organization and even to a new person, you know, I'm going to describe their business as you want to create two pools. You want that pool of customers to be filled all the time so you can go fishing for distributors. And you want that pool of distributors to be full all the time. Thank you very much. I really like you guys. The service was amazing. Give her a hand. I think that flying for 12 hours tends to dry your mouth out. I'm not sure. But at any rate, that helped. I appreciate it. So how do you duplicate? The only thing I've found is to do what you want someone else to do. So if we're talking about the pools, we want a customer pool that's full all the time to fish for distributors. We want a distributor pool that's continually being filled to fish for those people that are going to grow up into leadership. So you become the model. You are the model. I am the model for what I want to see. Jeff has always been an exceptional model for what we want to duplicate. So if customers are what are needed, make sure that you've got your own model as far as your customer base is concerned, that you add to it and you fish in it and you make sure you're growing people up through it. If you want to grow a huge distributor base, you're continually adding new distributors yourself. So you have a place to go fishing again to grow people up through leadership. You are the model. And this is the other thing, too, that's really important, is that distributors are going to do what they see, not what they hear. I think it's real interesting when people do trainings and say, do this, 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 and this. But if they've not become the model for that or the example for that, it's going to be difficult to have it happen. I believe there are truly 4 fundamentals which really lay the foundation for any business, but especially our business. And the first would be self-responsibility. I'm responsible for myself and my business and where I am in my business at any point in my life. And taking the responsibility is an important part. If you can take the responsibility, you're going to get the return. And if you think about responsibility, you're taking the responsibility for all the good that happens, all the challenges, all the difficulties, you know, the good, the bad, and everything in between. If you take responsibility for that, a wonderful thing happens. You're in control. You're in control of your own business. You're in control of your future. You're in the driver's seat. And so self-responsibility is a huge fundamental as far as the foundation is concerned. The next one we would add to that is self-determination. Being determined to do whatever it takes to get the results that you desire. Now, where does this show up in your business? Self-determination is really where passion for what you do shows up. It's where you find the passion. It's where you find the why. Why? What's the driver for you? What get you up in the morning and says, this is something I'm going to capture, this is something I'm going to conquer, this is something I'm going to do? Where does that come from? All of these things come into self-determination. But guess where this is reflected? It's reflected in your daily method of operation. Your daily method of operation. What is your chosen strategy? What is the strategy that you're going to employ every day with a strong work ethic to get the results that you desire? Now, something that's very interesting about daily method of operation, or DMO, it never lets you down. It always gets results. Only you can let your daily method of operation down. You're the only one that can let it down. It's not going to let you down. So if you've got that chosen strategy, you know the activities, the paying activities that need to go into place, then nothing can be in your way. And only you can be the one who determines this. The third fundamental would be self-motivation. I think too often in our world we, look for outside stimulus or for motivation. We look for something to come from the outside. We want to rely on that. And there are many things that do come from the outside that are very worthwhile. Certainly the motivation of the books that you read that are inspiring, the stories that you hear, the events that you attend. But if you think about inner motivation, and that, of course, as I said, being based in your why and the passion, but inner motivation is solidified and truly comes also from your daily method of operation. Because if your daily method of operation is consistent, it's going to get results. If you get results, you're going to have customers with success and distributors with success, and guess what will happen next? Your income will increase. If your income increases, that's very motivating. Would you agree? So that inner motivation really happens through daily method of operation. So if we look at self-responsibility, self-determination, and self-motivation, those equal self-functioning. At what level do you function? Do you function at $1,000 a month in income? Do you function at $3,000? $10,000? $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month? I have people in my organization that function at all those levels. And if you're just starting, that's the potential of what's available to you. But it's all determined, go the other direction, it's all determined by the level at which you employ yourself through your daily method of operation. The consistency of your efforts. Once you have the fundamentals down, then it's just a matter of tactics and strategies that you put in place yourself on a daily basis to get the return that you want. Now, if someone were to ask me, what do you feel like is the most valuable thing you've learned or that you know over the 28 years? What would it be? If I were to describe what I think is my most valuable piece of knowledge or skill, it would be this. It would be the word momentum. I guess I was in this about 2 years, and one day Jeff Roberti looked at me and he said, "Do you know why your business is so successful?" He says, "It's because you never put your momentum down." And I said, "Well, you better tell me what that is, because I don't want to put it down by accident." And he said, "Well, you've had consistent daily activity and you've never let up from it all these years." Well, when I say all these years, that was 2 years, okay? But I began to get the message. And I realized that if I was consistent with my activity, then momentum was going to happen. So let's look at the word momentum. If you think about it, do you see people within our business, and some of them seem just to, they just grow up very quickly, or they seem to grow up, they seem to do it easily, and then there are others that seem to struggle? The only difference there is that momentum is happening for that person that is growing up. And so I found that interesting. If you go to the dictionary and you look up momentum, it's going to say a force in motion. Motion, of course, being activity. So if you look at the very foundation of that, it's going to be activity that is in process on an ongoing basis. So it's consistent, daily, paying activities done in a disciplined fashion consistently over and over and over. So I figured out that if I had my strategy in place, that I was constantly filling the two pools so that I could fish from them all the time, and that on a daily basis I made sure that I talked to people regularly about my product and my business, and then I followed the format of growing that person up, that I would continually have something that grew up, and it would then take on a life of its own. And that's what momentum is that when your efforts are consistent, it then begins to take on its own life. It has what I call liftoff, is that the whole thing begins to come on and lift off or lift up, and it begins to carry itself. Now, if we think about that, it's just the effort that's put in on a daily basis. So who's in control of your effort? Is Jay Martin in control of your effort? Is the company? Is Jeff in control of my effort? Who's in control of my effort? I'm in control of my effort. You're in control of your effort. So once you realize that you have control of the consistency of your effort, and that consistent effort creates momentum, and momentum creates the life force which lifts and continues to propel your business, then you've got it. You've got the handle on it. At that point, it doesn't matter what the company volume is. It doesn't really matter, what the state of the economy is, because there are always going to be people who want to be healthy and are striving for good health. Fruits, vegetables, and berries are not going to go out of style. People are going to continue to eat from now on. That need for health, and there's always going to be that desire to create economic security. So if you're consistent with your efforts, you know you can create your own momentum. No matter what the state around you, you can create a strong, successful, powerful business because it's available to everyone just because of the products that we have and the business that we're a part of and the marketing model that we use. Now, once you know you have momentum in place, and momentum, and really I wish I had the words to convey that when I figured out that I knew how this happened, that I could control it myself, then there was nothing around me that made any difference as far as, again, the economy, the state of, anything, anybody else's attitude or what they thought, because there would be enough people to respond to what I had to offer to continually create and grow a strong and powerful business. And to this day, I look at my business as if people were just a long line out into infinity, and I'm going through that line. You interested? No, move out of the way. You interested? No, move out of the way. And then you stop and you give your energy and your effort to that person that's interested. Hundreds of millions of people are waiting to hear. So it's there for you. At this point, once you've got that figured out, you've got your strategy in place, then it's just a matter of how do you stay in a prosperous, productive, positive state of mind, because this is vital as well. Jeff calls it being in a positive state. I think it was about 1992. I was here in England. I actually found this book in England, and the name of it was Gratitude. And it was very simple. It told some wonderful stories about people that were grateful in their lives. But at the very end of the book, it outlined it right before you go to sleep and right when you're first waking up in the morning, is to really list all the things you're thankful for, from the smallest to the largest, or the largest to the smallest. That has probably brought me more happiness and kept me in a better frame of mind than anything I've ever done for myself, because it does put you in a really positive state. And this is huge as far as your business is concerned as well. Also, I'd like to, just in closing, talk a little bit about our marketing plan. And I said earlier, fall in love with this, and I'm going to share with you why. If we look at this plan, we all have similar positions as we grow up through our model, but they're all kind of little figures on it. There are percentages. We're paid many different ways. When I first saw the pay plan, so to speak, it was baffling. I thought Jeff was asking me to read the Chinese newspaper because it was very different from the way I understood being paid. But again, if we talk about owning our own lives, this can be whatever you want it to be. So if we take all those numbers on a page, which are just numbers on the page, and we look at what this transfers as far as real life, how do the numbers on that page, how do the positions you grow up into translate into real life? Well, if I look at myself, and of course there are many others around me that have wonderful stories, but if I look at myself, certainly my children were able to go to college anywhere they chose to go because the pay plan took care of that. We were able to make choices we might not have been able to make if it hadn't been for the pay plan. My daughter was one that, school came very easily to her, and so, that was not a big worry. For my son, school was very challenging. It was a struggle. He got himself through high school and entered college, but again, that was very much a struggle as well. When he was 12 years old, he was really good at art. He could draw anything. And when he was 12, he began to tell me, you know what, I'm going to grow up and I want to be he said a cartoonist at the time. He said, I want to be a cartoonist, I want to be an animator, and I want to work for Disney. And you want your children to have dreams, but we lived in Louisiana. I didn't know anybody in California. I thought that was a big dream. When he was 19 years old, he walked in one day. Again, college was a huge struggle. He said, Mom, I've made my first adult decision. I'm getting in my car. I'm going to drive to California, and I'm going to figure out how to work for Disney. He did that, and for a number of years, again, he kept showing up with a portfolio where they would say, well, this is great, but who have you worked for? So it kind of became the chicken and the egg. And one day I said, well, what needs to happen? And he said, well, everything's computer now. He said, I really need, to do something up on computer as far as an animation is concerned. And he said, that's going to be really expensive. It's expensive equipment. He said, I don't know about that. So what I did, my business was beginning to really grow up at that point. I rented all the equipment, and as we do in our business, we shared our business through at that time it was VHS tapes. We do it through tapes and DVDs and things of this nature. So we made up a little animation that was about 4 minutes long, and we dubbed hundreds of them and overnighted them to every studio in Southern California. And one studio responded, and he said, well, I got a job finally. He said, I'm working on computer games. And then one day he called and he says, they put me on a movie. He said, it's an old story. And he said, I don't know that it'll go anywhere, but it's a good experience. Well, he was one of the 5 special effects people on the Titanic movie. And he got his job with Disney. And for 20 years now, that's been his career. The pay plan. The pay plan took care of that. Again, if you're talking about owning your own life. My brother had a child that when he was 14 was diagnosed with cancer. It was just he and the child. They lived in Dallas. I lived in Louisiana. And so I closed the house in Louisiana, and went to help him there in Dallas. We were scheduled to take the child in for the first surgery, and he's 14 years old. And we go in at 4:30 in the morning to the admit area. And he didn't have the proper insurance. And you have no idea how you're treated in the U.S. if you don't have insurance. It was not just, we're not going to take you. It was a very ugly, mean, hostile response that said, you know, you either pay for all this up front or we're not going to treat you. And here in front of a 14-year-old that was not only terrified about his situation, but made to feel that he wasn't worthy of treatment. Well, he did get that surgery that day, and 7 others followed, and umpteen treatments, and the pay plan took care of that. You don't ever know, if we talk about owning your own life, you don't ever know what life's really going to bring you. Today, that child is a 27-year-old man. He's totally healthy, cancer-free, and we're very happy for that. Not long after that, I did go back to New Orleans. I remodeled the house I was in, great location, 4 blocks from the lake. And it was a great location until August the 29th, 2005. And the U.S. experienced the largest natural disaster that our country's ever seen as Hurricane Katrina came through New Orleans. Non-discriminating storm, it just destroyed everything. As far as I know, I was probably the only person who, in exiting that storm, had my income intact. I moved to Dallas, or was evacuated to Dallas, and just business as usual. I was very fortunate. I didn't lose anybody that was close to me, as far as it was just a financial loss. But for the people there, it was devastating. Again, people lost everything, but insurance companies didn't come through or help people in the way that they should have. It was very disappointing. It took me about 4.5 years to repair that house just because materials was so hard to find. But I was able to do that and help a number of other people along the way. And the pay plan took care of that. And I'll tell you one last story, because the pay plan has shown up over and over and over again to not only help us make decisions that have been very happy decisions, but to be able to have choices in decisions that you want to make and decisions that you would like to make or need to make. My daughter wanted very badly to have a baby. She lost one child, had a lot of fertility issues, and was told that there was no way that she was going to have children. Well, we were fortunate enough to find a good fertility doctor. They don't take insurance. And he also was very supportive of Juice Plus, told her to increase that tremendously. And he was able to help her. And today we have a young guy named Oliver, and the pay plan took care of that. So when you look at those numbers on the page, and you think about getting up every day and doing the activity that you do that gets the return, it's really not about numbers on a page. It's about people. It's about people in their lives. I'm sure that and this is the other thing that I think is really important to see here. I'm sure when Jay Martin started his company, in really looking at his life and his future, there were hopes and dreams that went along with that. But he didn't know me. When Jeff Roberti, in striving for his own excellence and his own dreams, went out and told this story, he didn't know me. He found me. Jay didn't know, Jeff didn't know, that I would have a struggle or that I would have children I wanted to send to college, or a child that had a dream of his own, or another child that would have cancer, or that we would someday want a baby that was very hard to come by. But because they were committed to the story, they were committed to who they were and what they were about, they opened doors for me that were amazing. How many doors will you open? That's the power. That's what you have. You have a power that's amazing, not only to lift your own life in any way you choose, but to lift the lives of people that you may not know and some you may never meet, and create a life for them unimaginable and help their families in a way that they may never be able to do otherwise. So treat this power with respect. Really realize what you have. And you know, as I look through this room, I realize everybody in here, you all have the ability and the ingenuity to create positive change in the world, serious positive change. Certainly our world needs the answer to health issues. You only have to listen to the doctor that started this afternoon as far as this conference is concerned, what he had to say. And Juice Plus is going to play a huge role in this. Again, you only have to look to the media to realize that worldwide there's huge economic strife. We're going to we'll play a big role in that too. Job opportunity is something that people need and strive for. We are the face of the future. You and I, we're the face of the future. Small business, free enterprise is the stability of economic success. We're the best of small business, and over the time, we're small business that commands big business return. And that can be for anyone in this room. So let's be the change that enables people to walk away from financial stress and fear. Let's embody such pride in what we do and what we represent that others will recognize our business for the promise and security that it provides. Let's all acquire the courage to offer our product and our business to others relentlessly for the good of all. Because in securing your own financial future, you automatically secure others. Our business can't be done alone. So I'm going to invite you to embody our product and our business model, to step up and live at the highest edge of your physical, emotional, mental, financial, and spiritual existence. For myself, this business always has and continues to be my love affair with the world. It has and continues to create huge financial return and immense happiness. And I wish that all for you. Thank you.